Hi neighbors, my name is Matthew Schmitz. I've lived in North Lake Village of Cinco Ranch 1 for the last 11 years. In the last 6 months, I've received 13 violations, 2 of which were for a driveway extension that was over the building line, and the majority of the others were for items in public view, to include a ball, a $100 fine for a scooter, $200 for pots that have been here for 10 years. I'm so incredibly frustrated with what's going on that I nominated myself to run for the board of directors in this annual meeting on May 13th at 7 p.m. at Cinco Ranch Junior High School. I have spent hundreds of hours in the last 4 months, when I started fighting in January, reading governing documents, sending emails back and forth, doing posts on Nextdoor to get input from neighbors, contacting friends, attorneys. I've been to board meetings and neighborhood representative committee meetings. I've had a hearing for violations in front of the board of directors. In those 4 months, I have heard many allegations. I don't expect you to believe any of these. This is my personal account of my experience in the last 4 months. Email your neighborhood representative, get their perspective. Contact the board of directors at requests@cincoranch.life and ask what's going on. The allegations are awarding a management contract outside of an open posted session, leaking job descriptions, a lack of transparency to the NRC and the owners, missing unaudited annual reports, board members holding positions on the NRC to undermine its authority, targeted enforcement, unreasonable violations, and violations of state law in conducting hearings. My God, why have you forsaken me? Please, the volunteerism on the Neighborhood Representative Committee is at an all-time low. We need volunteers. When the vote comes up in the August to October timeframe, know who you're voting for. Make sure that they're vouched for, they represent your interests. We need diversity back on the Neighborhood Representative Committee and reestablish the balance of powers between the Neighborhood Representative Committee and the Board of Directors. Thank you. There's another 15 minutes in this video explaining more of my observations. I hope you can stick around and watch the entire thing. Thank you.
Here's a run through of my violations. First one being on January 21st. Have items in public view, or please remove items from the driveway, grass, or other side of the home when out of public view. And we've got candy canes, taking down Christmas decorations, and a bicycle. Then in March, quite a few things going on here. Picture's a bit out of focus, but I have a couple bags of dirt for landscaping, the ceramic mushrooms you'll see later. Then in July, I've got the basketball hoop, cattywampus, and the bicycle again, the bird feeder. Again, all it says is out of public view when not in use. Another items in public view. Oh, yeah, on September 5th, there was a towel over the fence in this one's all that I can really see. On September 29th, my trees were 1 foot out of compliance. This was pretty alarming. I was upset about receiving this. I see trees all over that were way greater out of spec than my residence, but 1 foot below I measured and then trimmed them. Then on September 29th, got the bicycle again and receive our first fine for $50. In October, on the 24th, get 2 violations. Please remove items from public view. Again, don't know what this is for. Blue bucket, our ball bucket was left out, very short duration. Then I get my first driveway extension non-compliance, don't have permit on file, showing approval for the driveway extension. I started figuring out what had been wrong. It was a miscommunication between the contractor and myself, and it was over the building line and needs to be corrected. Started working that then. Landscape accessories, mushrooms, ceramic mushrooms for my daughter's fairy garden. On the 29th of November, have a ball in the yard, perhaps. On December 28th, we were getting ready for a New Year's trip in the RV. Website for the association says that a RV can be in your driveway for the day, not overnight. This is exactly what we were doing. I'd moved our other vehicle out to the street, dropped the RV off in the morning, and loading this is quite a bit of work. I had gone out for an errand. I had been talking to the management company about all these violations and what we could do to rectify or get more clarity around specificity of all of them. But I did point out that I was in compliance. There's no proof here that it wasn't there just for the day, and it wasn't. So this should be dropped. They did agree to that. However, it was never removed from my account, still shown, even though I have email records showing that it should be removed. I did ask about the car and got no forgiveness. So if you have a single parking spot in your driveway and you leave, you have to move the other vehicle into the driveway and then reverse when you get back. Then got a second notice for the driveway extension. I opened another permit here. Actually, right about this time, I got an approval letter. I'll show you later, showing that the driveway extension was in fact approved. And I sent that to the association saying, look, you sent me an approval. This violation is null and void because you sent me the approval. Then I get public view, $100 fine for a scooter. Public view, don't really know. I think it may be a ball. I don't really know about the previous one, but there is a scooter there that was left out overnight. Um, on March 26th, I got pots and a bird feeder that have been there for a decade. Currently have a timestamp photo showing this greater than 4 years, which hopefully they remove it based on that evidence that it's grandfathered beyond 4 years. We'll see where that goes. So in my hearing on April 10th, I told the board that I felt like I was being targeted. That I see many worse violations in scooters and balls in the neighborhood, and I feel like you're targeting me. And the response was, honestly, there can't be any targeting because we go by addresses and we don't know the names of the owners. Well, this address is my address and I live here. And whether you're targeting the address, the scooters and the balls and our way of life is at this address, I think that is still targeting. It goes on to say that anything left in public view is items. Leaving a scooter out, I get it. That's items. Uh, if you leave something out, you're going to get a photo. There's no burden of proof or requirement to show how long it's been there. Second is an email I've got from the branch president of Associate PMG. That's our management company, or has been for a while. And he basically laid out what he had been told to do, and that is that you should be mindful that the picture should be as specific as possible, showing the best photographic evidence possible. The directions to the inspectors is to observe and report infractions without regard to possible or assumed circumstances or taking into account individual member homeowner habits. So if it's there, it's there. You get a violation regardless of what it is or how long it's been there. So in the hearing on April 10th, I was given 3 minutes to talk. I asked for complete forgiveness for all violations, including a refund of my $50 for the bicycle I paid last year. They said that it was more important that I discuss or bring up the driveway extension, and that could be a real problem for me in the future. Um, I said that they were in violation of Title 11, Chapter 209, the Texas Residential Property Owners Protection Act. This is state legislation to protect owners under this contract of an association. And it basically allows you to have, make the association state their case, right? Due process must be followed. 10 days before the hearing, they send you the case against you. They state the case against you to start the meeting, and then you take it from there, more like a court case where they are the prosecutor and I or we would be the defendant. So because they didn't do this, I said this automatically gives me a 15-day postponement to this hearing, and I'd like to reschedule. 5 days later, they sent the outcome, which was unfavorable for me, and said they're going to keep coming after me. Update on the driveway extension. I did bring it into compliance. It was about 15 feet over the building line. Removed dirt and grass have been put in place of that driveway extension that was over the line. And I was told I was in compliance on April 23rd. I want to talk a little bit about the board of directors and the neighborhood representative committee. So these two bodies represent a balance of power to run the association. The board of directors each have a vote, and they do everything with respect to management of this property, right? 8,700 odd homes, all the public grounds, contracts to the management company, any contracts for building, sprinklers, grass, they do it all. They have the accounts, they have the money, we pay them their dues, they prosecute violations, and the neighborhood representative committee, elected every 2 years, is comprised of groups of neighborhoods that each one of these representatives has a vote for. So if there's a block of 3 to 5 neighborhoods, those neighborhoods underneath that representative vote once every 2 years, and whoever the representative is that gets the most number of votes from the owners then is maintains this voting seat on the neighborhood representative committee for 2 years, and then represents the owner's interests over that period. They have the power to remove board members with and without cause with a 2/3 majority vote. So if they're not happy with what the board is doing and someone needs to be voted off, 2/3 majority could do that. That's a balance of power. That's pressure. The NRC has no input into how the board manages our property, but they do have 75 majority. If 75% vote, will require a board explanation on why they would or wouldn't take the recommendation that the NRC puts forward. So these majorities are very important. 26 votes for a 75% majority, 23 votes for a 2/3 majority of the 34. So there's been a lot of talk in the NRC that I've talked to individuals, neighborhood representatives, and heard discussions about board members holding seats on the neighborhood representative committee. Of the board members, 4 of the 5 board members hold seats on the neighborhood representative committee. So if they're doing something the neighborhood representative committee doesn't like, they have 4 votes, and I assume would not vote against themselves. There are tons of vacancies here. The volunteerism is way down, and 3 are totally vacant and don't even have a vote. I presume that those 3 just go unvoted and are no longer part of the tally. 5 other like-minded individuals to the board, and your 75% majority is gone, your 2/3 majority is gone. All the pressure for removal is off, and the balance of powers is broken. I don't know if this is the case or not, but it very well could be. 6 more votes or less based on the next slide, and you've got enough to re-elect board members of like-minded thinking. You're undermining diversity of thought and input, and you've got a single party system running the board and the NRC. So here is the election that's going to take place on May 13th at the annual meeting that will take place Cinco Ranch High School, 9th grade center at 7 p.m. I think it is a Monday. So there are 5 people running for 2 open seats on the board. And I want to point out here that, the 4 board seats that are held, the 4 NRC seats that are held by board members represent 1,366 owners, or 16% of approximately 16% of the total neighborhood vote. So we'll see how that goes. I do encourage you to come and observe and listen and see what's going on in the HOA. I think we need a lot more interest here to understand what's going on, and this election's important for how things go forward. I had spoken earlier about the vote that took place for the new management company, Infomark. I was in a March NRC meeting when the board announced that they had awarded a new management company, changing from Associate PMG to Infomark. um, the NRC wasn't happy, to say the least. There were voices raised. They wanted to know when the vote was held. Um, the board responded that they had had an open session, went to closed session, at which point the NRC members and other owners had departed, and then the board reopened to an open session and took the vote. NRC members, five, I think it took, asking for the vote outcome. What was the vote? How did it go? Who voted yes? Who voted no? And finally, after five people asked, the board divulged that three were in favor, one was not, and one vote abstained of the five members to change management companies. So the bylaws say that if you're going to award a contract, it should be in the open session. I looked at the agendas from January, February, March, and I don't see this anywhere. Um, why the board did this, I don't know, but I don't believe they followed the bylaws. I encourage you to ask and see. Call your neighborhood representative, call the association itself. Why did this happen? To what end? Also, I've been looking at financial reports, and some are missing. Right, an unaudited annual report uh, consisting of the records for the year should be posted online. Well, why is there a gap from 2020 to 2021? Why is there a gap from 22 to 23? Um, it's interesting. I don't understand why this wouldn't be made available online, as it obviously had all the way back to the 2016-17 year. But now all of a sudden there's a gap in annual audit reports. Just so the takeaway here is that the neighborhood rep vote is sometime in the August, October timeframe, depending on who you ask. Please, I'm begging, vote for a neighborhood representative that reflects your priorities. I don't think that should be a board member. You decide. Owner action is the only way to restore the balance of power between the NRC and the board member and the things that have been going on. So I'll get back with you and do my best to lead an informed campaign of nominations for the NRC. Volunteer, vote for who you know, who reflects your interests, and let's get some diversity back into the NRC. Take care. Thank you.